I'm a sophomore at Montgomery High School. It's like 20 minutes out from here. I'm sure maybe some people may know people from there. And so, we've been talking about sampradayas in schools from a young age, just like many of the students here. Since 5, I've been learning Carnatic music. Since 7, I've been learning Kuchipudi dance. I actually had my Arangetram Rangapursam recently in August. So, therefore, Hindu identity was something that I've always been connected to. And for the longest time, I saw no reason to be ashamed of it. So I think it's when I transitioned into middle school in 6th grade. Like any school, our grade was like 75% brown. So when we went into the classroom, we were all like really giddily, naively, almost fobby, like whatever jargon we use, like excited to see ourselves validated in the pages of the school textbook. But then we open the textbook, and this teacher starts lecturing. No offense, he's a white teacher. He's like a white teacher, and he starts lecturing about caste system, about sati and widow burning. Apparently, burning widows has something to do in our traditions. Completely ignored Navratri. People asked whether Shiva was the devil. I didn't know that Shiva was a destroyer or a torturer. I never knew that was something that even existed. So, and the thing is that in that unit, you learn about every world religion, and as every world religion has a right to a non-biased, view, they were all represented very fairly, as they should be. But for Hinduism, the values you learn at home are like two paragraphs, and then there's like 500 pages on Aryan invasion theory. Apparently, we're still following in the British footsteps when we talk about our own heritage, and that's a bit annoying. And then, 3 years of this passed, and I'm really confused on why I'm the only one who asked the teacher, why are we learning about things that have a fundamentally colonialist and racist view when there's so much data against it? Why can't you at least give the chance for another opinion, right? Why do I have to sit down on the test and write, oh, my ancestors killed, people from different castes, because I know they didn't. Caste discrimination does exist, don't get me wrong, I don't know what's happening in India, but why can't we see our tradition as something positive and empowering, right? We have the right as a minority faith. We're less than 1% in the US. We deserve that right. So we fast forward to 9th grade, right? And has anyone here taken NJSLA, the test, right? So I think there was this interesting article about arranged marriages, and it was, if they had an article about maybe forced marriage or child marriage in India and how it's wrong, I would have been totally okay, because I'm like, they're talking about volunteers, and one great way to volunteer would be raising money for domestic violence shelters in India through Navratri. That's a great idea. But why is Indian marriage traditions, if by a board of education of a democratic government that supports inclusivity, why does a 20% Indian school have to prove their college proficiency by writing an essay on how their traditions are inherently sexist? The amount of division that creates, especially for Hindu girls, it's already hard to reconcile between feminism, women empowerment, Hinduism, because you want to be proud of everything. But now when you have to sit down and write it for a supposedly liberal board of education, that creates so much shame in the already body image ridden like torture we are in as Hindu girls. That creates a lot of insecurity and mental health issues. So then I realized that I could not ignore this inherent bias, because a lot of parents I know, they've asked me, you think that parents, no offense to everyone, you think that parents would be supportive. But some of them have asked me, why do you need to start this from such a young age? Why can't you focus on a 4.0 GPA, which I unfortunately don't have? Why can't you focus on Ivy League education, medical school, blah, 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 blah? But this unconscious bias will not go away. If we ignore, just like how we've been ignoring for the past 1,000 years, we're just going to become silent victims. We're not going to be there tomorrow. We're not. So, but the thing is that some people with this unconscious bias, like the white teacher at 6th grade, he doesn't have a hate against me. No one is asking him why not. We're not giving him the chance to learn. So before we point fingers, we have to educate. And that's why I wanted to start a Hindu culture club, just like my very good friends were in a Christian association and Muslim association. In fact, So I went to my dad and I was like, Nana, that's how you say dad in Telugu. I want to start a Hindu culture club. Do you think I'm crazy? Should I do it? And he was like, you're not crazy, you're being perfectly normal. But instead of creating your own individual club, because unfortunately a lot of these shoot up around America, but because of the fact that we ourselves as Hindu teenagers, we are insecure. And at times, even now, some traditions I admit I don't understand and I don't know if I will understand it. But I want to have the basic power to claim my traditions and be proud of myself as a Hindu person, as a Hindu American. So my dad was like, why don't you go to Hindu Students Council? Because as Nikunji said, it's a third-year organization. It's a support system. Whether you're a victim of bullying, whether you're the 1 out of 3 Hindu students who are bullied, whether you're the 50% or more Hindu students who are depressed or insecure about your identity, you can go there. And there's already a support system. So if you feel like you're failing, there are people who can help you, who can foster this environment where they not only provide a space for your Hindu identity, but your identity as an American to grow in this world of career, college, whatever it may be. And this is where I want to first of all thank Nikunj and Parth. Thank you for connecting me to you from the first phone call. I don't think I'd ever seen like a community of people who did not call me the usual names. You're too brown, you're too sanskari, you're almost, some people accuse you of being non-feminist because I want to participate in pujas, which does not make sense because last time I saw we were the only one goddesses. And Joyce Mehtaji, I still remember from the community lunch, thank you for the support you gave me.
You're amazing.
Because sometimes I do like the adverse reactions from parents. So so I think at a leadership meet at Princeton too, in December. So I remember stepping into the room and I was pretty scared because I was only like 15-year-old there. Everyone was in college. And usually when I bring up these experiences with teachers, you know, racist, like blatantly racist, like things that would get teachers fired to my own Indian or Hindu friends, they usually would laugh at me and telling me to brush it off. So I would get discouraged because I'm being isolated by my own like fellow brown people, I guess, right? Like why have we become so whitewashed? That's like, I always felt like there's a lack of empathy from people who are supposed to give me support. And not just me support, there's thousands of millions of students who feel this way, but they're struggling in silence, and we're not addressing it. And therefore, this community that gives empathy to these struggles, that lets people question things that no one has questioned before, to see past set narratives that are taught to us, is essential because it gives a support system so you do not feel like a failure. You feel like a confident Hindu American. Wait, sorry. And because HSC, like they were saying, it's not just Om Namah Shivaya, Om, you know, Krishna Devi, whichever one you feel as your Ishvara. By doing volunteerism and leadership, what you do is that instead of separating yourself into a Hindu self and American self, you walk around everywhere as a Hindu American. Because one thing we cannot do is point fingers at people and call them racist if we're not going up there and educating them. If you go out in your community and you show that and you normalize being a proud Hindu, but then you also show that your values are compatible and they support American values, and you show that you go around under the banner of HSC, you're proud to be a Hindu and you're going and supporting other people. You show that you're a leader. You show that you have the right to be called a Hindu American on par with everyone else. And you also provide confidence from yourself to go in front of people who may disagree with you and be okay with it. Be okay with that people disagree with you. Be okay with the fact that you are different from them. When they question you, don't back down and just leave it. Because a lot of my friends, they ask me, aren't you afraid you're going to be seen as competition to the Christian and Muslim clubs? When one teacher came up to me and attacked HSC for just wanting to look good for college us because of the stereotype that, you know, Indian kids are very studious and stuff, and also went on a rant about how our religious activities shouldn't be banned in school, one of my friends was like, why do you even care about it? Just leave it. you shouldn't just let yourselves be bullied and put down by people who are supposed to help you. And a lot of people have said we kind of veer off at 13. And I think when students hear this veer off, I think we get a little wary because we're like, oh, I don't want to wear saris and like worship every day. But that's not what it is. It's just having the data to go up to a person who may have a racist or colonialist view and educate them about what your culture really is. What's the authentic, actual brown version of your history? How do you stand up for the 1 out of 8 Hindu students who are bullied by teachers? For like I said, and 25% of Hindu students are singled out in the classroom every single day. Right? And for those, me personally, books that have helped, I'm going to offer books right now. Being Different by Raji Malhotra, Rearming Hinduism by Vamsi Jewelry Ji, and Invading the Sacred, or Academic Hinduphobia. And if you haven't heard of Rearming Hinduism, it's not weapons. It's just an arm. It's Vamsi Jewelry Ji says that the hand that has been severed off by 2 waves of colonizations, we simply want the hand back so we can sit down and we can write our own history and faith down as we have learned it. From our grandparents, from our parents, from our friends even, right? So, that is why Hindu Student Council is so important. So when we wake up tomorrow, those percentages I just told you about, 33%, 50%, 100% even, go down to 0%. In fact, we have 100% Hindu leaders who are confident for a better tomorrow, who understand that their Hindu American identity is not something to be ashamed of. In fact, it's something that's diverse, should be proud of, and we should not be putting each other down as being too fobby. In fact, we should bring each other up to withstand bullying and educate upon mutual respect. Thank you so much.